the version at the museum is slightly more functional than this one, because in the museum I would just click on the Church of the Transfiguration and be taken to this page, which has information on 25 Mott Street, which has a little blurb about the Church of the Transfiguration and all the information about it. You can click on the image, click on the picture and see an image. One of the more interesting aspects to this is creating linkages between the places and people. So, in this case, in the Church of the Transfiguration, which is at 25 Mott Street, this woman, Nettie Gargano, had information, was somehow related to this. So we can now go look at Nettie. There's Nettie. And she lived all of her years in Chinatown, and she was married at the Church of the Transfiguration. Now, she also did a lot of interviews, so that these have all been transcribed, but the audio is still here now. This could be video as well. It doesn't matter, you know. It's the idea here is, again, using this as a using this as an interface into an archive where it doesn't matter what your media is. You know, if you want to be able to interface with anything possible. Now, the other thing which is important for a cultural museum, which is probably less important for this application, is people who are visiting the museum can enter their own stories. So if they have a story about their uncle who worked at a restaurant 50 years ago, they can type in their story here, and then hit submit, and it wouldn't automatically go into the database. What would happen, it would be submitted to the archivist, who would review it, and then if it was something that they thought was appropriate, it would become part of their ongoing archive. So it's a living, breathing document a living, breathing exhibit that is meant to bring the community into it, and so that they give to it as well as take from it. As I said earlier, it's built with web technologies, so all of this stuff can go onto the internet, and you can drill down into different relationships. So I started here at 25 Mott Street, and now I'm on Nettie Gargano. She had some experiences on 55 Mulberry Street. What is 55 Mulberry Street? 55 Mulberry Street is Columbus Park. Oh, and when you click on this side it moves. So you know where you are in 2D, and in 3D you're instantly reoriented. Now, I think you get the idea. Now, think about this in terms of Lower Manhattan. You can turn this entire thing inside out, where you make Lower Manhattan your exhibit. So you have a little device that you're carrying around with you. And if you build it right, people who are visiting the museum, you say, give them this device, go out, and you can look around Lower Manhattan, and it would know where you are, and it could actually show you what it looked like in 1660 if it's all built right. So you punch a little button, you have a little view of what it looked like in 1660. Now, that's an exciting thing for me, frankly, because there's...
Not answer the question.
How many people can do this at once?
Oh, at the museum?
Yeah.
Right now, it's just, they have one exhibit down there.
Yeah.
And this is a strategic decision that they made. Well, first of all, if you've ever been to the Museum of the Chinese and the Americas, it's tiny. It's a tiny space. So they don't have any other room in their space. And they've also, it's on the second floor of an old building. They don't get a lot of traffic there. And they made a strategic decision not to put this on the internet so that people come to their museum. If they put it on the internet, then why do you have to come to the museum? And we didn't have any input into that. But it's all built so that if they wanted to put it on the internet, they can. And that way then you're just limited by your bandwidth in a computer.
But in the physical space, one person is holding
the mouse.
device.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And again, it's two screens. They just don't have room for another exhibit.
I have the same question about the New Amsterdam History Center.
Yeah.
How many people can put on a platform at the same time looking?
Well, I think it's how much room do you have? I mean, the only limit that you have is the number of physical seats. And again, if you decide to put it on the internet and make it all internet enabled, then you're only limited by bandwidth and computer power.
Or could you alternatively have several of these spaces
Sure.
so that a number of people could go to different little theaters?
Absolutely, and Courtney and I were talking about this because you could not only have something like this, which you're really digging down, being interactive with it. You could also do something once you build your database. You could do this in a I'm going to use it jargon here. It's called a cave environment, where essentially you have these projects that create a 3D graphic type of image, and you walk through it. Now, in that case, it's more entertainment than actually learning anything, because it's cool, but you can't really interact with all of the real information that's underneath it. But again, it's once you build a database, you just have lots of decisions about how you want to present it, and you're not limited. You're just not limited in the kind of way that you are with objects, because this is a server, and it can handle as many people that log into it as physically it can.
I know our theme is New Amsterdam.
Yeah.
You foresee building into the foundation the ability to go from, say, 1644 to 1744 to 1844.
Yeah. Yeah. I again, that's another thing that Courtney and I were
Courtney
talking
gets more
about.
money, we can do that.
Yeah. It does. It certainly adds a layer of complexity to your development, because.
But is that something that might be worthwhile to consider?
Absolutely. And in fact, we have this database of Lower Manhattan now, which we would be thrilled to have integrated into what exactly was there in 1660 and 1760 and so on. I think that would be a fantastic exhibit. But it also would create there's some design that has to go into that. The more information you throw at something, the more difficult to design it is to make it simple enough to get at, but not so simple that you can't get at. So there'd be a lot of input, I think, that would be needed from people.
I'm going to cut you now.
Cut me off.
Back. What issues you're raising really are issues, I believe, of the feasibility, marketability, audience that we're going to be targeting towards, and that sort of dovetails into what I believe is Workshop-2. We'll be pulling together some other parties that are experts in looking at the marketplace for museums, and particularly some of them have targeted themselves in Lower Manhattan already.
You have a date in January.
I do not yet. I think we want to make sure that we get Workshop-1 up and running, get the board to approve where we're going, and then we'll focus on Workshop-2. But I've done a lot of planning for Workshop-2 already. The concept is to complete a full market feasibility study that would be geared again to the marketplace and the issue of feasibility. They're linked together. But driving all of this is, what is it about the History Center and this virtual project initially that is going to draw, we believe, interested visitors? And two, at some point we'll be sort of transgressing into, well, if we have a physical space, how big should it be? Should it be small? Is it 500 square feet? Is it 1,000? 10,000? Most of the focus has been on the 10,000 foot level, because that's kind of our vision that we have. But again, we're going to have to test that model and see whether it's really going to work.